Hello and welcome back to another week of DXV podcasting with Nye, Chris, and Ollie. We are on third podcast of season 2, but week 2 of the Prem. Take us through your weekend, guys. What did you get up to?
I was getting beasted on a rugby pitch.
Oh, you were, weren't you? Actually, yeah.
I was.
How did that all go?
It's like festival rugby is hard. Like when you're young, even like you're like early 20s. Start
no
rugby.
one there is young.
Yeah, it's like start rugby. It's like not too bad, but even then it's a lick.
No, I just pushed through that.
Yeah, a vets festival where you're playing stop-start, but everyone's over 35, and people like myself are on there, not touching 40, not 40 yet, but stop-start rugby is not ideal. But all for charity, had a cracking day, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in a bit. But yeah, that was my weekend, sort of absorbed. And Chris was watching rugby.
How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I was just tinkering with the site, doing a little bit of a few improvements here and there, and then went down to watch one of Nye's games. I don't even know how many you played that day. Because down at Old Regations, wasn't it? Which is actually a really nice club. Like,
yeah,
bit of a lick to get there, like, but some really like classically Surrey roads with like no room either side and people just flying around. I was like, okay.
There's not too many clubs either that have 7 pitches.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that's a serious. Yeah. That's a serious club. Yeah, it was a hike to try and find you, and they've got like a whole camping area set up. It was a really good set out, actually. Really, really good do.
That's pretty sick, actually. Are you playing again soon, Nye?
Yeah, so I've got a few charity bits coming up. Because again, sort of just I'm in that point where I really don't want to give up playing rugby. At the same time, trying to commit to sort of training two times a week, plus away games every single weekend, especially with sort of family and kids that are now got their own sort of busy social lives. Yeah, but I still want to carry on playing, and charity rugby, sort of like some of these charity rugby sides, are by far the best way to do that. Anybody sort of thinking that, it's like you're easing yourself into retirement. That's what you're doing. You're tricking yourself, because I don't really play for a club. Like, yeah, I've basically retired, and then what you do is fill up all your time playing charity rugby.
Yeah,
and you just lie to everyone. That's effectively what it is.
Yeah. And outside of that, guys, obviously the Prem endures or kind of ramps up speed, I suppose. And there were some pretty cracking games this weekend, actually. And who won? No, I'm going to ask you, mate, because I'm hoping you know the answer to this. Who won the out of the three of us? Who was closest to getting the guesses right?
So I'd just like to point out, if anyone saw our socials for like the predictions, so every week now it's going to do our predictions of the game. We figured out a slide to put on socials. Obviously, the first game last week, all three of us won. Yeah. Just like, so from that moment, I was like, we are losing credibility. It's like people are looking at Dream XV and be like, oh, these guys, they're like start their own fancy rugby. They clearly know what they're on about. They're well informed. No, all three of us straight off the bat.
Mate,
these guys haven't got a clue.
Mate, just look for me in the DXV league, and you'll know I have zero credibility when it comes to rugby. I've just seen myself like just slowly go further down the list, which is frustrating. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, you know, what a cracking game from Gloucester, and you know, shout out to Fasagabon as well for just absolutely decimating Ellis Genge.
I love that. It's such quality. Like, there was some posts going around about like, cause it looked like it was getting a bit aggy with two of them. I'm like, Ellis Genge will 100% respect that after the game. Like, during the game, it'll be all like, but after the game, he'll be like, yeah, kid, that's the way it's done. Like, cause do you remember him when he came out? Like, gobby little, like, always picking up. Like, and now it's time for someone else to start picking up that mantle. It looks like Fasagabon is more than ready to do that.
it's been used that much as a meme. I think we should sign off. We'll do it at the end of this podcast, all three of us, and be like, and that concludes another week at DSV. Pass a good one. All three of us. Just that way. That's how we're signing off this week's podcast. I've just decided.
It was just as he stood up at the end of the scrum as well, just like stood over him, was like, I'm him. Because I don't know if you saw the lead up to it. There's a lot of highlights in it, but in the lead up to it, they were like, I think the ref had been like, stop going soft. I think Faskelman had said something again to the tune of like, it's you going soft. And then Genja called me soft, and it was just like this little to and fro, and then Faskelman goes through up under him and just stands over him for a second, and he's like, "What?" Yeah. And I was like, "That's a ballsy move to do to like an England international Premiership winning captain." Like,
there is a little part of me that goes, "Don't get me wrong, it's front row, it's adversarial, it's like one-on-one, all of that good stuff." But I'm like, there is a point where you've just brought like a youngster off the bench, Jay, and you've got like again, just like
of course, just been playing the whole game,
licked, like been in this many scrums. You're just like, so it's like a little part of me that goes like, all right, I love it because like new versus old school. Do you know what I mean? He's had a little nudge, and it's on Genge as well, which is like hilarious. But then people like just shows like people online. Just I don't know whether they're just they're there for the wind up. I don't know. Like needs to be gone. He's never been a good scrummager. Yeah, Genge needs to go, and you just one scrum, like brand new youngster, old guy that's licked. Like,
and like let's not forget, like Faskelman is 6'4" and 130 kilograms. Like he is an extremely big boy. Like it's like like you don't. But yeah, no, that was a really good piece. And then obviously Christian Wade having removed him from my fantasy team, decides to have the game of the season. Interception try, and I was like, I'm just sitting there watching ching 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 his points go. I'm like, you son of a
he had a cracking game as well. And then
I've never seen him play, but he is quick. Like quick.
And when you consider he's not young.
Yeah, 33. Yeah.
But like, I'm 34 and he is significantly better than Nick. But
but where is this going, Chris?
But no, like he is. Yeah, that was quite the game from him, bar the yellow card. But even then, he came away with, I think, he's the highest scoring player in the game that week. 64 point something points he got, even with a yellow. So yeah, and that one try scored by Freddie Thomas, who I think is actually a really promising lock. There's some stuff coming out about him tomorrow in terms of like the highest scoring players. He's also quick. Like he's for one of the big boys, but that try was an absolute worldly, just like through the hands, back, forward, back again. Like, it was so good. That was such a good try. That was a really good game, actually. Really, I don't know if I'd want every game to be like that. So many people just talk about like how we need like these high scoring, all attack, no like defense optional games. Like I don't know if that's that, but when you do get them, it's quite exciting. But I don't know if I could watch it if it was every game was like that. I like a little bit of the attritional stuff.
Yeah. And then obviously Twins met Falcons. Yeah.
You laugh that first try by the Falcons. Like they come out and I'm like, that was a good try. Like hands in the centre, like second row over. I was like, oh damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like when you actually look at the sort of final score and that like Quinn squad that they had out, like
and at home,
like that. Yeah, that's not like at the Stoops, but like that's not bad. Like if that was Saints, Gloucester, anybody else, you'd be like,
that's
sort of pretty reasonable.
Happens.
I was like,
that was
strong defensive effort again. I think Chris said last week, like the quickest way to sort of shore up a team, shore up a side is sort of aim and look at that defense. I think again their defense was actually really good. You look at some of the strike players that sort of Quinn's got and stuff. But yeah, to hold them to the scoreline that they did, I actually think
Can we take a second?
that was a really good match.
Yeah, no, genuinely. But can we take a second to appreciate like Cassius Cleves, the young kid who got his first start against it? Like that. Did you see his he had like 2 or 3 runs in that game where it was like, and I had an absolute mare with injuries this weekend in my fantasy team. I had Northmore in my team. I had Cleves in my team.
Yeah.
I had Murr in my team from that. I was getting absolutely battered by. I obviously wasn't getting battered, but my selections were getting battered by on the actual pitch, and I do feel sorry for you, but you screwed me. No, but yeah, Cassius Cleves, like he looks exciting, like and really unselfish as well. A lot of the time when you see like the youngsters come on the pitch and they get their first go and they've got to look in at the try line and they're just like, right, bit of white line fever, right? So they just sprint and try and get it and get caught. No, gives the pass that puts Halfpenny over. I was like, I think is going to be a real quality player. As he develops.
he looked really settled, and I'm not sure whether that is because like he has got world class players around him. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like the sort of the Marcus Smith, the Lee Halfpenny, he did look really settled. Like you said, he had some good runs, so it wasn't even showed a bit of strength, showed a bit of speed, showed a bit of footwork, looked like
the full kind of like the full picture. Yeah,
like I've got a little bit of everything, jack of all trades, can do what you want me to do. It was exciting. Yeah, it didn't do bad on the fantasy points, I think.
No, he still come with I think something close to 40, despite getting injured. And it's always silly how he got injured because he went for a run, like he did a little chip over and then chased it up and just I think his basically hamstring just kind of gave in.
Happens to the best of us.
But yeah, he was really promising. Nathan Jabulu, the hooker, I thought he had a really good game as well. Another really promising youngster coming through. For some of these academies, that's one of the things I'm really happy about. Not just a specific game, but like I think a theme so far at this stage is you're seeing a lot more of the academy get a look in. So we just talked about Fasagabon, Puka Forge starting for Sale now. You've got Cassius Cleves, Jabulu. I think every team had Ben Redshot, Newcastle. Like you're getting a lot more of the academy actually getting a look into the senior squads, which is really good to see.
Yeah, I think you do twin it with kind of like it's great to see him, but you've also got Halfpenny who's at the opposite end.
Yeah, of course. But you have to. You have to have balance,
it quite
right?
well, and like we'll get onto it with like the Saracens game. Do you know what I mean? When you're watching like Daly hook up with that Alex Good and stuff, you're like two players that are arguably at the end of theirs, but sort of like hooking up, still cutting the business, still putting some decent tries through. But yeah, there seems to be a really good mix at the moment at the start of this sort of like Prem season where there's still the sort of
a lot of experience and quality.
A lot of experience, a lot of stalwarts, but there is an exciting new crop of players coming through. So exciting times.
I really enjoy it because it's like this is almost like you feel like you're on the inside, right? Like you're in the know a little bit in terms of like when someone rocks up to international rugby and it's like, well, I've already seen them play. Like I've watched them play now. As they've developed in their career, so you know something's coming. If that's what makes, because I'm sure you've all experienced it, right? When you've seen someone, you're like, oh, that guy's going to be good, and then they come on the pitch, it's like, oh my god, this guy's amazing. It's like, yeah, I told you. Like, smug face comes on. I was like, yeah. But yeah, it was. I thought you saw a lot of that this weekend, and I was really, really pleased about it. Actually, saw a little bit of it for Saints. You saw a little bit of it for, like I said, Quinn's did quite a bit actually. You had 2 kind of academy kids come through. But yeah, really, really good on that side. And that just talking about Saris, like everyone, myself included, was like, I don't know if not sure if they're going to be able to do it again. They've lost Farrell, they've won Epolas, they've lost a lot of what was like the spine of that team. Turns out they're good. Like turns out, don't need spine. Who knew? Yeah, they're completely fine. Fergus Burke has kind of I think, been an excellent replacement for Farrell in the sense of just like consistently good, right? Like I say consistently, it's 2 games, but like he just does the right thing. He's not a Russell who's like the flashy stuff and all that kind of stuff. He's just does what needs to be done when it needs to be done. Lazowski coming back obviously made a massive difference. You forget the quality of Elliot Daly, like can play 10, can play 15, can play wing, can play center. Like there's a reason he can do all those things. It's because he has a really varied skill set, like that allows him to do lots of really cool stuff, which is how he ends up on the end and creating a lot of stuff as well. That pack with Reece Carr, I think, was a really. Am I saying that right? My Welsh friend, Reece.
Yeah. Reece Carr. Like, I think you were right. Their set piece, their forwards, their set piece. If you look at it a couple of times, it just tries off it, and that Sale just clinical set piece stuff.
And that's something against Sale, who have like historically like a very strong set piece, very big, strong, largely South African pack. So, and then I mean, to be fair, like if we're being fair to say, like they got stung by injuries really early on. Like, so your big ball carrier and Jean-Luc Deprez goes off, and you're like, okay, that's a problem. Then your 10 goes off in George Ford injured, like, okay, that's another problem. Yeah. Then like you get a yellow card, and then like, and you're like, okay, this is now becoming a bit silly. And they lost, I think, 3 or 4 players to injury over the course of that game. So just a suboptimal outcome, I think, for.
I've got to put it out there. I hate that orange kit.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Like I
do.
I thought, like, oh, actually, it might not look too.
I really like their home kit. Like, I really like their home kit with like you've got the shark fins, and it could be alluded to like the pennines around Manchester, and then it's like the biggest flipped, like this terrible. I don't even know what it is, like highlighter orange.
I don't. Like, yeah, I need it to be brighter. I'm not sure that it's possible to have like a.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you can describe it as like a dull orange. Like it's not even like a bright orange. It's like a I don't know how to describe it. All I know is that is a horrible colour for a set kit.
Yeah.
Unless you're tarmacking the M6 in your high vis rugby top, then going to watch the game, and like going back to work, like
if you're gonna have that color, you gotta own it, right? You gotta go like real bright, like uncomfortable, or you like not like peach, but yeah,
it was a mild orange.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but no, that game I think wasn't the most. Fate wasn't the best game for Sale, I think, like in terms of what they've actually shown. It's really worrying because the similar thing happened to them last season where they'd lost a lot of their team early on to injuries, and then you struggle until they all come back. But hopefully it's not serious with a lot of those that happened over the weekend. There's a lot of injuries this weekend. Like another theme, like Maro Itoje coming off with a knee injury. Don't know how serious it is or if it's just a precautionary thing, but he came off. Cassius Cleves comes off. Jean-Luc Deprez, George Ford. There were loads of them. I was like, Jesus, like it's either super physical or they're still really beat up from preseason, but I don't know what's been going on.
Nah, you'll know better, but it's probably a mixture of like wanting longevity for the season, so precautions, plus like maybe just a little, maybe just coming in like off season, like kind of getting back into the swing of things again. I don't know. What do you reckon, Nye?
Yeah, there's a bit of. I think sometimes it's very much. Sometimes it's just unlucky. Sometimes it's just luck. You look at sort of tackles, and all it takes is somebody to step in when you're stepping out, and that's the difference between you landing head, shoulder. That's the difference between you getting somebody's knee in the side of your head as opposed to this. So sometimes it is just pure. It's just wrong place, wrong time. There is something to be said about sort of conditioning, and it's looking at the type of injuries. So people like Cassius Cleves, hamstring stuff. So it's looking at the type and nature of the sort of injuries, things like the Don Brandt last week, sort of broken bone stuff. There's like it's very hard to say. It's like you can't necessarily say that. Oh, that bone's weaker because he did tackling yesterday. So it's kind of looking at the type and nature of the sort of injuries there. I think it is still early in the season, so again, looking towards probably again the England, like international England type players. You are coming into close to what is autumn internationals with one eye on there. You're also coming in with one eye on sort of Six Nations. It is the beginning of the season, so you don't want to risk anything now.
People now, yeah.
You don't want to sort of risk. So even if somebody's sort of 50-50, like you'd err on the side of caution coming in. But I think this stage in the Prem, there's big squads, there's lots of players coming through, lots of depth. I mean, we mentioned it last week, the fact that you've got sort of Jamie George, Atoje, Bennett, a lot coming off the bench. There's lots of quality around, and it only sort of aids to what Chris said earlier in the fact that a lot of these academy boys are coming through, and a lot of them are doing really well. So it just gives more people opportunity, I think.
I actually thought the game of the weekend as well was the Leicester-Bath game. I don't know if you guys caught it, but that was like it wasn't super high scoring, but it was just like edge of your seat stuff, right? Like it was just so close, but not quite, and then defense would hold out, and then it would go the other end, like so close, and defense would hold out. And I was crazy impressed with Will Butt, who I had never paid any mind to. Sorry, Will, if you're one of the 5 listeners, but but like I never really paid. You don't see much of him, right? Because he's behind Cam Redpath at Bath.
Yeah.
So
injuries.
And the same with Max Ojoma, and there's been a lot of talk about Max Ojoma, and I was like, actually, like Will Butt, like really hard carrier, really dogged in the carry as well. Like the people who like they get hit and then they fall. Like no, it's like he gets hit and then leg starts pumping. It's like no, we're still going. We're not done yet.
Yeah.
It's one of them, and then some really nice like offloads and silky hands. I'm like, actually, that's a pretty banging 12. Like that's a really
he had to through 12 that like some of the some really nice skills on show. Like you said, you almost sort of didn't expect it, but quietly went about and just had a solid game. Just did everything you'd want your 12 to do. Run hard, defend hard, like draw players in. Whether he got the ball or not, people sort of had
You've got to account for him,
in because he did carry so well early on, dragged some defenders about, had a really solid game actually. Yeah, it was good.
I was genuinely impressed, and in the current situation where like England have a bit of a shortage of centre, right? Like I think it's well publicised. Like centre's probably one of the weaker points in the England team. Or there's not a lot of not depth, shall we say? Because say for example, like Slade's injured now, and then you're looking at like Dingwall, but then there's questions about like how that's going to work. So, but I think Will Butt, like he's only 20. I think he's like 20 something. Like I'm like actually like he probably needs to look because he was real quality. Lawrence obviously had an absolute stormer. 50-22 was immense. Like that was 100% not on purpose, but such quality. Like,
it was. And it's funny. Funny is the more you try, the luckier you get. His offload to the, I think it was a Muir try.
And that is his super strength, though. Just around that.
It was a bit of a horrible pass sort of behind him, and I thought like the opportunity that they had gone. But actually, just to pick it up in that short confine, nothing much on, to draw both defenders to give the offer. And I think it was Watson actually. Watson like steps in. Because again, it's like you're looking at someone like him. It's like he can break a tackle. I've got to sort of step in, and he gives the offload. He gets caught flat-footed, and Muir goes in for sort of his try. Don't get me wrong, he still had to do well to stay in. That was a good solid open of a try. But I think it's really weird because I've always seen sort of Ollie Lawrence as like a 12. But
you can see
he does play in that 13 role like really well. He's looking a lot more comfortable in there, I think.
Yeah, he's So that's what this is what I've said. This is what I've been saying. And I think that's one of the reasons there's a lot of excitement around Max Ajomo. Because if Ollie Lawrence is going to play 13 for his club and that's where he's most comfortable, like, one of the issues with having as much talent as England does, like, and we're spoiled for it, and you sound like a kind of bit of crying, whinging kid, right? Is that like, but it means that you lack a little bit of cohesion around some of your partnerships sometimes, right? So it's really hard to get your center pairing playing together consistently. And I was like, well, in Bath you can buy it in, like you can just pick their two centers because you have Ollie Lawrence, who's it's becoming increasingly clear that he's going to be a long-term center. Whether that looks like 12 or 13 for England long-term, I don't know. I'm a big advocate of Tommy Freeman moving to 13 as well. I think he's got a lot of the quality there.
He's young enough to.
And he's played there for Saints. But anyway, like, you've got that. So like Will Butt and Ollie Lawrence, like I could see that being quite a promising. That's two quite hard carriers, but like you say, the deft offloading ability of Lawrence there in the outside channels.
The Tigers Bath JVP back on sort of form.
He's doing well, yeah. I was gonna. This is bad. I was gonna do one of our little head-to-head posts between like him and Spencer, and I was like, "There's nothing really for Spencer." Like, JVP
was sort of back on form. That was good to see. There was a try Bath scrum set piece, and it was like straight off the training pitch. I think Bath with that scrum had that set piece and just went hands out the back, drag defenders out the back, drag defenders. Hassel Collins in, sort of straight out to the week. I think it was Tom de Glanville that was on like the wing. It was just.
It was tidy. I know the ones yeah. Like, if you were to write a textbut try,
a set piece that like you've practiced 50 times over, that you've actually you've held the number 8 in the scrum so he doesn't pick and go, because you want that ball specifically for this move. That was, I mean, just a great try. Just everybody doing their part. All the dummy runners sucking people in the right place, all the little pullbacks, all the passes. Just, that was a beautiful try. I think actually one thing about that game, when comparing it to the sort of last game that we looked at, so got to time, got to 81 minutes. Finn Russell gets it, boots it out, right? Yeah. And they're sort of maybe 10 metres off the try line.
They're in attacking position. They're in very
they were strong attacking position, only 10 metres off try line, took it, knocked it out. And then you go back and look at, was it Daly, like Sarries, like the last try?
Goes again, yeah.
86 minutes.
It's like, I've got my. It's that mentality of like, I've got my foot on your throat, and I'm gonna squeeze.
86 minutes past time, and we're still going, and I think when it comes down to bonus points, when it comes down to getting those 5, not those 4, getting that, stopping that person having the losing bonus point by being within like so many points. When it comes to
those small margins, make such a difference.
Those tiny little bits. When it gets to the end of the season and there's only 1 point, like look at last year, like when it gets to the sort of round 17, 18, that 1 point that could have pushed for, could have gone for, could have got that 1 point that you stopped them getting in defence, etc. Like, all of that matters, and it really did. I can remember watching to the end of that, watching that happen.
I thought the same thing,
and thinking that you could end up regretting that. Like,
and that was and the fact that I was fuming because I had Guy Pepper, Ted Hill, and Ollie Lawrence all on the pitch, and Ted Hill was my super sub.
Do something.
So I was like, do something. Like one last burst, like to give me. You know who else was great this weekend in a team that did not do as well as they would be hoping they would do? Faye Waboso in Exeter. Not the fact that it wasn't his best game, but he still scored 2 tries. I think says a lot.
Like, that shows to me that wings. Sometimes your winger, and especially in Faye Waboso, like you get the ball to him and you just want him to do something. He'll create something. And other times you have wingers that But if your team is very good, all you have to do is catch and put the ball down. And sometimes when your team is very, very good, all you have to do is catch a ball and put it down. And I think he had one of those weekends. He had one of those weekends that actually, when they got into those positions,
he was there,
just there, and he was just sort of I don't want to say walk-in tries, but yeah,
they were
still managed to be right place, right time, get across.
But you create luck, right? Work and get there. And I've said this, the thing I think about, and the commentators talking about it, one of the reasons it wasn't a great game is because they were like, oh, well, there's 2 people on him all the time. I was like, they're like, oh, but you've got to, I think it was Chris Ashton was talking about it. It's like, you've got to find another way to do something. And I'm like, you understand that, it's the same thing you had with Manu Tuolangi. He stopped having the impact because they double team him, right? So they'd just double tackle him because you 2-man tackles you couldn't get. You had to stop him. And I was like, but the fact they have to do that means that there's space somewhere else. So by his existence on the pitch,
someone else is having a better game because he's not.
He's there. Yeah, exactly. Because he's drawing the people. You've got to watch him, because if you don't, he's going to break your tackle and then he's away and he's gone. Freeman had an excellent game, that Northampton Saints Exeter game as well. Freeman, I thought, looked really good in his first game back. Fairworth was good. That Paul Brown Bampo, the other Exeter wing, he looks really promising. Little bit inaccurate at times, but huge work rate. There was one where he just sprinted the length of the pitch in defense, gets the ball, and he's got this acres of space in front of it, and you can almost see the pain on his face. He's like, I don't want to run another 100. I've got nothing left.
So we're gonna lower your speed on the fantasy game.
He was, but that was fun. Yeah, he was. I thought he had a reasonable game. He looks promising. Like all the younger guys, he just needs a bit of a refine in kind of some of those some areas, but real promise, and it's good to see a lot of the depth coming through in the system now as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and looking forward to next week, guys. I think we'll do a kind of scores on the doors, quick fire. So, Chris, what do you reckon? Saints, Quins? Saints. Cool. What about you, Nye?
Quins.
Ooh, okay.
Is it? It's not the Stoop, is it?
No, I think it is.
Let's find out.
Yeah, it's at Franklin's Garden.
No, I'm still gonna say Quins. I think. I don't know. I think actually, Falcons held them to a bit, but I can see that there's a lot more there. Yeah,
that was Marcus Smith's first game back as well.
I'm gonna say Quins.
And that's a heck of a matchup. Finn Smith against Marcus Smith, flary attack playing. Finn Smith, by the way, put in 24 tackles. For a 10, that's a big old number, right? It's the highest across their Prem that weekend.
Yeah. Nye, Sale, Gloucester.
I think Gloucester showed a bit of skill, but I don't know. Sale got some injuries. I'm going to go Gloucester. I'm back in. Cherry and Whites.
Strong.
Yeah, Gloucester.
Chris, I know what you're going to say, mate, so we'll skip you. Bath, Bristol, Chris.
Bath. Okay. Comfortably.
You reckon? Comfortably?
Yeah. Comfortably. Bristol, when they're, I think Bath have such a good game plan. It's solid in defense, but they also have the attacking flair. Bristol need a lot of things to go right for them to win.
Yeah.
Bath need far fewer things to go right because they have checks and balances in their game.
Yeah, I'm starting to regret selecting them to win the Prem this year.
They absolutely can. I remember 3 or 4 seasons ago when they went on an unbeaten run to the final and then only lost to Quins at the very end.
Look at what they did last year. Yeah, look at before and after the Six Nations last year. Completely.
They are capable of loftier highs than the rest of the Prem. I think. When they are on fire, I don't know that there's a team in the Prem that can stop them.
Yeah, we'll see.
But
We'll see.
they need a lot of things to go right for that to happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And Nye, who are you saying, mate?
I'm gonna say Bath, but I don't think it's gonna be as comfortable as Chris is predicting. I think
Okay.
you can never tell with Bears, but I do think odds for me, Bath's got it.
Okay. And Nye, back to you again, mate, for Newcastle, Leicester.
I'm actually I I'm gonna go Falcons.
You can't say Falcons, mate.
I
It's just
They've just
it's
held.
just not
We
happening.
just talked about our credibility. Like
They
They've
are
just
literally
held
yeah.
that Quinn side to like what 28-14,
Yeah.
and
it was
Tigers like
we'll edit it out. Molly, we'll edit it out.
like Tigers.
yeah.
They didn't do fantastic to it.
No,
Yeah.
Do you know what? Sod it. Falcons by 3. I'm gonna put my name on it. Falcons by 3.
Falcons by 3.
Falcons by 3. I'm gonna put my name on it.
Bloody hell. Okay.
it is at Falcons home as well, so that's.
Yeah. And
Falcons
Chris.
by 3.
I'm gonna do my best to recover what little credibility we had. No, in all seriousness, I'm gonna go. I think it will be Tigers. I think they're onto a little bit. Isaiah Parisi, if he can sort his discipline out, is such a quality player. Like, just beats defenders for fun and is insanely physical, and strong. But that's 2 yellow cards for 2 games at the minute. I'm gonna go Tigers. I don't think it'll be a runaway. I genuinely don't, and I think Falcons will figure out what they're like. Will click at some point in the not too distant future. You can almost see it kind of happening. Like you said, a few lethal tries there, but I still think Leicester have it in the bag.
And Chris, back to you, mate, for obviously the best game of the weekend because it's on my birthday. Saracens, Chiefs.
Saracens.
Okay, that was to the point.
Yeah, no, there's so Exeter
They
are
are
really
looking
struggling
strong.
to perform at the minute, like really struggling. They have some incredible players. I'd argue they probably have one of the best back threes in the Prem, paired with probably paired with Saints, for the best back. But they just don't. They're also missing a few really important players for them, Slade and Jacques Vermeulen. Yeah, I think, and Saracens, like I said, I underestimated them, and that was a mistake. I'm sorry, it won't happen again.
Yes, it will.
And Nye.
Like you just covered, I think Sarries with like some of their bench and their teams and good mixture of sort of old and young, but are still so experienced. And I think Exeter aren't settled. So I think Sarries have got it. I'm not going to say it's going to be a runaway, but I think they've got it comfortably, I think.
Do you know what we didn't talk about, and why I think it might even be a little bit more of a good day for Sarries? I was just thinking through like where their strength is, and I think Sarries, like, look through their back row, right? So like as it stands now, so Andy Christie, Tom Willis, Ben Earl, right?
Just stop there.
Yeah, like all great players, right? What ended this weekend? The Rugby Championship. Who plays in the Rugby Championship? The Argentinians. So all of a sudden, you end up with Juan Martin Gonzalez comes back. Lucio Cinti comes back. Like some of these insane players that Saracens have a back row that many international sides would die for. And
that's outrageous.
Of international back rows.
And then that also makes it interesting for Tigers, right? Because Tigers get Andre Pollard back. They get Julian Montoya back. They get like
Gloucester. Yeah, there's a few.
Gloucester gets Santiago Carreras back. So like there's some serious talent coming back into these from the championship. So that will be an interesting shift.
I'll take back what I said about Falcons.
Yeah.
Poladu, we'll be alright.
I don't like Shilcock's been good, mate. Shilcock's done a good job. Actually, like, I
We'll
mean,
be fine.
Andre Pollard is Andre Pollard, right? But
We'll be alright. And just to round off though, because actually Chris gave me a load of crap last week about my fantasy team. I'd just like to point out I finished 9th round 2. All right, horrible because it was behind Chris, who finished 7th. Chris?
yeah, I think so.
7th.
It's okay.
9th. Ollie didn't have the greatest round 2.
Yeah, I didn't pick very well.
Went heavy early. You went heavy early. You have no patience.
I also didn't pick any super subs, and that's the second weekend in a row now. So I think I might pick one next weekend. Yeah, I wasted money. Like, I did pick Elliot Daly, who actually was good. Yeah. But Nice Levy, never again. Yeah,
Ollie holds a grudge as well. Like, if you let him down, he holds that against you personally.
Yeah. Rotimi Sigan did not have a good game either.
Well, I said the same with Porter last week. I got 3 points for Porter last week, and then he comes out this week and starts banging it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where all my points went, to be fair, because I actually, you look at my team on paper and it looks. I suppose that's the roller coaster ride that is fantasy rugby. Eh?
Oh, it is. It's I hate the fact that Chris said earlier that the dream team this week in terms of the best fantasy players you could have picked. The starting 15 still would have left you with enough points to buy anybody on the bench.
Yeah.
So it's not even I think picking the team, within sort of budgets.
It's bargain.
Yeah, there is some people out there that are, and that infuriated me more because I sat there worried about how to spend. I was like, I had 0.7 credits left, and I was messing with about 10 players to try and spend it, thinking that I'm wasting 0.7 of in which I could have done. Yeah. But no, decent week 2. Yeah. Nice movers and shakers in the season league and in the round league. It's always good to see new people in the top 10 for the round. And people that were in the top 10 for the round last week suddenly shifting, moving up and down the season league. So it's it's interesting to see. I love it.
Yeah, and have you guys got any go-to players for this weekend? Give me one player that is 100% going to be in your Dream 15 this weekend. Chris?
I am almost certainly not going to pick Christian Wade again. He's playing against Sale Sharks. I will go. I think I'm going to go Finn Smith. I think he's going to go. No, I take it back. Will Porter. He's going to my team.
Okay. Just make a note of that. I'll ask you the same question tomorrow. Build my team around you guys. What about you, Nye?
I think I'm going to go Muir.
Okay, yeah.
No, I don't know why. I think he's just consistently sort of been in there, been around the sort of decent, sort of good scores. I don't need him to set the world on fire, but if he can continually sort of tick away getting those good scores, I'm happy. I think there's more to come. Yeah, that's where I'm going to go.
Strong. Well, I don't know.
Come on, Ollie. You can't ask us. You can't ask us without fronting up yourself, mate.
I was just about to close off, mate. So one person that has consistently performed actually really well over the past 2 rounds for me is Ibitoye. So yeah, he's secured a place in my squad for the foreseeable until he gets 3 points, and then I'm never going to pick him ever again. No, he's done seriously well. So yeah.
Should we do a little announcement of who's won on here, and then
Oh yeah, yeah.
Of who our winner is for the
Yeah, so our
£500 prize this week.
Yeah, so our second £500 prize draw, and the first one that
We
we
need to get you an actual cash
collectively,
machine now, with those like little guns like.
The cash machine.
yeah, we've collectively pressed the button on.
Yeah.
So it is. Get his name. I won't really reveal his full name here. We'll give him a call tomorrow to let
Drum
him know.
roll.
But it is Honey Badgers, who
Honey
came in.
badgers.
Who came in, I believe it was 18th place. So they've still got some of those extra entries on, but
Yeah.
congratulations, Honey Badger, when this is released.
Honey badgers. Well
You've won
done.
£500.
£500. That's a lot of cash. Well, not if you're trying to buy a Bath season ticket. I'm just saying. But for the rest of us, that's a lot of cash. I'm just putting out there. No, congratulations. Round 2, £500 every week. It's going to get given away, and it's always interesting to keep an eye on the season score because that's £2.5 grand up for grabs. So that's definitely worth ticking away in the background. Yeah, it's always nice actually get to like ring someone and tell them that they've won a whole bunch of money. That's the really good thing about this. I love it. It's good.
Yes, thanks very much for dialing in for another Dream XV Rugby podcast with Chris, Nye, and Ollie. If you want to check us out on social media, then we are active on X, Facebook. What else? Instagram. What else are we active on? TikTok.
With the kids.
And yeah, jump on, give us a follow, Nye and Chris. And actually, we all put out some funny stuff, or we think it's funny at least. Equally, if you want to be in with a chance of winning £500 per week, then jump onto the game and have a go. Play with your mates, share with your mates, share with your club, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, Niall's just gonna laugh at me. Yeah, catch you next week.
See you next week.